Good afternoon and welcome to 504 Coordinator Eduphoria Training. Today we're going to start off in Eduphoria and we will go to the Aware button. When you get to the Aware button, this is where you're going to find all of your students. You do that by clicking Students. Now, I have a student ID code that I have copied off of Skyward, and I'm going to place it in my search, and then I'm going to search the student that we're going to be working with today. Now, the first thing you'll notice is the General tab. That will give you the student's schedule for the year. The next tab over is testing, and this gives all the testing information. Obviously, this child is not of STAR testing age yet. She's only a second grader, so nothing is there yet for her. But if it were a student with test material, test results, it would all be in here. The next button is Forms, and this is where we're going to concentrate on our 504. Notice the year over here. We're going to go into the 15-16 year because that's where we currently are. We haven't rolled over to the new year yet, so we're just going to go ahead and stay with this one. We're going to add a form. You click the Add a Form button, and you'll notice all of these choices to choose from. I strongly encourage you to go in and take a look at some of these just to get familiar with them. But for today's training, we are going to be looking at Section 504. We're going to click the tab next to Section 504, and then we're going to look at Section 504 Procedures. And then we click down and we have a whole list of 504 forms for us to complete. Let's take a look at Form A, and we're going to have to add it. Form A is a checklist for the 504 referral process. And again, it gives the student information, it gives the schedule, and then it has the checklist for our Section 504 referral. And each item must be dated and checked before it can be completed. There is no area for dates, so what I like to do is print this copy off, and there is a print button right there that you could print it. And it will come up and you can print this, and that way you have a hard copy of it where you can go and put the dates on it that you want. Okay, let's get back to our section. Or as you complete the items, you can go through and click them off like this. It's whichever is your preference to do. When you are done, make sure that you hit the Save button. If you do not hit the Save button, then anything that you have done will not save. This way it may take you several days in order to get all of this information, which I know it will. But this is a good reference to go back to and see what still you need to make the file complete. All right, now let's go back to Add a Form. That was A, so let's take a look at B now. B is the Section 504 referral. Let's take a look at it. Section 504 always gives us the student's information, the schedule. Now you're going to write the parent's name, parent's address. Who is actually referring this 504? Is it a parent? Is it the ASC, or what we should call the RTI? Or is it someone else? What are the areas of concern that you're looking at? And you may check as many as you need to. Write a brief description, and then print this off and type this and get the signature of the person making the referral. Then you're going to scan this back in, and let me show you where you're going to scan it back in. Where it says Attach Document, what you would do is you would save this. Then see, it gives you a little blurb right here that you haven't done everything that you needed to do. So if it has a red asterisk by it, that means that question has to be answered in order for it to be saved. So I'm just going to do this real briefly. I'm just going to type some silliness there. I'm going to save it, and now it's saved. Now we can go back to View Forms. You are going to go, you're going to print this. You would print it off, get the signature of the person who is referring this, making this referral, and then you would scan it back in, and you would scan it back in right here. You're going to attach the document. So you would choose your file, title it, and then it would be here, and we'll always have that person's signature. Okay, let's go back to our forms, and we're going to add another form. This form is going to be Form C. This is the consent for the evaluation. Again, we have the student's information. We have information for the parent talking about the evaluation process. This is a form that you are going to print, get the parent's permission, then you're going to upload it back in, so we will always have this copy, but you will also give a copy of it to the parent. Okay, so now we're going to add another form. The next form we look at is D, Notice of Procedural Safeguards. This is something you give to every parent before every meeting. You print this off, you hand it to them, it gives them their rights as a parent and the rights of their child as a student. And this is going to be given to them every time you meet in regards to the 504. Now we're going to go to our next letter. That is going to be, well, DD if you're doing a Spanish 504. So this is all in Spanish. The same thing as what we did with D, but only in Spanish. Now we're going to go to letter E. Notice of Section 504 referral. This, we will set the date of when the 504 committee met to refer it. The above student was referred for it, so the 504 coordinator's name goes there, the date of the meeting, whenever that's going to be, and the minutes of that meeting. You're going to save this, and it will be in there always. Now we're going to add Form F. Form F is what your teacher is going to fill out, and it's a questionnaire for the teacher about the child. So the teacher's name will go in, notice the red asterisk, what subject area they teach, students' average grades, have you taught the student previously, and then you're going to list all the areas of concern. The more information you can give in this form, the better it will be for the student. Okay, that was letter F. Now we're going to go to letter G, and this is the parent information. Now, this form you're going to have to print off and give to the parent and have them fill it out. And again, you're going to have to scan it back in so that we'll have it in our permanent record here in Eduphoria. All right, next we will have letter H. Now, your nurses should have access to all of this so they can go in and give the information that we need for this. This is basic information and anything that they could add that would help with the evaluation process. Next, we have letter I. Letter I is Special Education Form. Now, if a student has ever been referred for special ed, you would put that in there. If they were dismissed from special ed, whatever is required, and this is just going to stay in here just for future use. Okay, now we're going to come to letter J. Letter J, and if you notice there's an asterisk right by letter J, that means this form must be completed for each 504 meeting. So whenever you have an asterisk, you have one here, you have one behind Notice of Rights and Procedural Safeguards. Those mean you have to have those with each meeting. This is when you send your letter to the parents letting them know of the time and the place. We have all of our schools listed where the 504 meeting will take place. And you remember there's an asterisk. If it has an asterisk there, you must fill it out or otherwise it will not save. Again, make sure you hit the save after you're done. Now we're going to go to letter K. K is a real good form to keep you on track during your 504 meeting. It sort of sets the pace of the meeting. It gives you what exactly you need to do, establish the membership, identify the major life activities. It sort of keeps you on a plan to make sure that you get right where you need to go. Make sure that these three categories are read to the parents. Make sure all of this is read. As a matter of fact, I would give this a copy of this to the parents after each meeting. Okay, let's move on, and we will go to K. Oh, I think we just did K. We're going to go to L. L is the identification form. You list your committee meeting members. You list the minutes of the meeting. You look at the information that was reviewed and considered. Make sure you click all that you used. Make sure you consider all life major activities. And there are 3 pages to this, so don't forget that there are 3 pages over on this side. So you will go through and answer each question. Page 2 is where you start getting into concerns of the impairment. How long has the impairment been going into? Taking all the above into account, does this person have a substantial limit of their performance of a major life activity? This needs to have all committee members sign. So what you would do is print this off. You're going to want to give a copy of this to the parent anyways, but you'll print this off. You will have all members sign and then scan and upload it back into Eduphoria again. Okay, moving right along. Now we are into M. M is probably one of the most used forms in the 504 section, and let me show you why. This is the accommodation plan. This is where you'll have your committee members. You're going to have your minutes of your meeting. As a matter of fact, I would probably take my minutes of the meeting here, make a copy of it, and paste it on the last form that we used, the Form L. But I would take the minutes of the meeting in this Form M. And this is where we'll start looking into mitigating measures. Make sure that you list all of those if there are any. Then we come over to page 2, and this is where we start listing our accommodations that are needed for behavioral social issues, academic issues, testing accommodations, anything that you may need. You probably will have all signatures on this, so you'll want to copy this, get everyone's signature from the committee, and then upload it back into Eduphoria. Make sure you save. If you don't save, it will not save the information that you've put down. You'll notice there's not an asterisk on everything, but you are going to want to save this after you've done your typing. You don't want to waste all that work that you've done. Okay, now we're ready to go to letter N. Letter N is parent notification of eligibility determination. This is a big important one. Notice there is an asterisk by it, so you will use this at every meeting. Again, you're going to want to copy and paste your minutes into this area right here. This is the big hot spot. This is where you're going to make the determination, what the 504 committee has decided about the child. If they do currently have it, if they don't currently have it, whichever you need to check this, and you need to have the 504 coordinator sign it and give a copy to the parent. Okay, now we're ready to go on to Form O. This form is for the cumulative folder. What you'll do is you'll go through, fill this out, sign it, print it, put it in the cum folder, stating the fact whether they are eligible or not eligible for a 504, whether a 504 plan was adopted or determined to be unnecessary at this time. This is extremely important, guys. It's nice to know in the future, especially if a child is transferring to another area, another school district, that they know whether or not this child has been suggested for a 504 plan. Again, you're going to hit save. Are you tired of me saying that yet? You have to hit save on everything. All right, let's go to just a few more forms that we need to look at. That was Form O, so let's go to Form P. Now, Form P is only going to be used if you have a behavior issue with a student and you need to have a 504 manifestation or meeting to determine whether or not it was because of the child's disability that caused the behavior. So this is something that you will need to go through. We will have additional trainings on this through the school year to help with determination of this, but this is just a training about the forms themselves. All right, moving along, more explanation of forms. We have Form Q, which is Teacher Observation Questionnaire for Dyslexia. Now, this is only for teachers and for students who are being tested for dyslexia. It is different than the teacher questionnaire that we had earlier up in our forms, but this one is specifically for dyslexia, and it needs to be completed before the dyslexia assessment can be made. Okay, let's go to our next one, which is another dyslexia form, and it's a committee decision dyslexia form. When you have your 504 meeting and it's a dyslexic student, you will take all of this into consideration. You will fill all this out. Remember to save because this will stay with the students. Okay, moving along. Now, this is an important form that I want to show everyone. It is X Possible Accommodations Reference Internal Use Only. Let me explain this. This is a form that gives you some ideas about accommodations that are possibly available for our students. The reason why we want to use this as internal use only is we do not want kids to be labored with all kinds of accommodations. We want them to be self-sufficient and working on their own, and it's hard to do that when we are giving them too many accommodations. Sometimes parents may look at this and say, well, if these are available, I want it for my child. I want all of these accommodations, when we know that that's not necessarily the best thing for our child. So please keep this as an internal purpose only, and let's not share it with our families. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, let's take a look and see if we have any more forms that we need to review before we move on. Then we have elementary data gathering for dyslexia, and we have secondary data gathering for dyslexia. Let's take a look at our elementary. Now, this is what the 504 coordinator will do after all of the information is gathered, and it's based on points, and your dyslexia reading interventionist will be more than happy to help you fill this out. Remember, there are 2 pages, so don't forget that, and remember to save. And the secondary looks very similar to that, so I won't waste your time showing that one. Then we have one more thing, and this is for our dyslexic families too that are being evaluated for dyslexia. It's a parent interview. This needs to be printed off. Parents need to fill it out, and they will sign it, and you will upload it again into Eduphoria. Okay, I hope that's kind of helped you with all the forms that we need to work at with 504. Please don't feel that you have to have all of this memorized after just this short training. We will be having more 504 trainings throughout the year, and please don't ever hesitate to call me if you have questions. My number is 5640, and my name is Anita Clayton. Thank you.